Women who live alone, what do you keep in your home to feel safe? One night, I had a nightmare so vivid of someone entering my apartment via my second-floor balcony that I found myself standing outside my bedroom door, disoriented and ready to fight. I had never felt unsafe in my apartment, but that dream really shook me and made me think I needed to be better prepared. I couldn't afford a security system, but I had a bunch of tiny bells left over from a craft project. I tied them at intervals along a long piece of string and hung it on the balcony door in a way that, if the door opened, it would make quite a bit of noise. Old school security alarm. I've lived alone in a downtown city and out of the city. What made me feel safe in the city was living in an apartment with a door that was inside a building rather than outside. Essentially, you had to have a key or passcode to get in, then keys to get into my apartment. However, I lived on the first floor, so I bought a door blocker and would put it behind my door as soon as I got home. I also have a baseball bat near my bed. I would sadly also keep my blinds closed. Now, in my current place, I made sure I lived on the top floor and it was a 2-door building. I still have a baseball bat, but I feel safer than when I lived downtown. I no longer live alone, but when I did, I was very intentional about who knew where I lived and who I brought over. Current and ex-partners are far more likely to be dangerous than random strangers. Other than that, keeping doors and windows locked, and using alarmed doors when needed, I maintained a mantra that I've done all I could, and stressing beyond that was no more helpful than being at peace. Living in fear is a prison. A dog. He's little and fluffy, but any dog deters break-ins because they make noise and get in the way. It also goes a long way to quiet that paranoid, what if someone is hiding in the basement, voice because I know he would smell an unusual person in the house. That, and honestly, I stopped watching crime shows. For as much as I love detective stories, it took me way too long to put it together that maybe my anxiety of being raped and murdered could be related to watching TV shows all day where someone gets raped and murdered, then going for a drive and listening to a podcast about someone who got raped and murdered, then unwinding before bed with a murder mystery. I stick to sitcoms now, and I'm in a much happier headspace. A few security measures, but frankly, it's so safe in this little town where I live, Denmark, that I can leave my bicycle fully loaded with groceries while I pop in at another store or at the library, and everything will still be there when I get back out. Hell, I've even forgotten to lock my front door for a few days every now and then, and absolutely nothing happened. The only 2 times that I've had something serious happen, it was someone close to me that was the cause. So I'm not particularly worried about my safety in my place in general, but I've gotten a lot more picky about who I let in. I lived in an apartment complex, which I believe is much safer than a house at times. I had a few things in front of my door that would make noise, and I would also always double-check that I had fully locked my door. Being in a studio apartment, it was easier to keep myself safe on the way to the apartment. For example, when I would get in the elevator with maybe a delivery man or someone that I had never seen in the building, or even someone that gave me bad feelings, I would go up a few floors or down a few floors. Then, I would use the staircase to make my way to my apartment. I know it's a lot, but it was also my first time living alone in Toronto as an undergraduate university student, so I had a bit of reason to be paranoid. I have a security system that, once activated, will automatically blare the most unholy noise if a door or window is opened. My alarm system is linked to my phone, so I just have to push one button on my phone, and the police will come. I also have the sweetest pit bull you would ever want to meet. Now, if they make it up to me, I have a pew in a safe, but right next to my bed, I do have a stun gun with a flashlight built into it. I also have blue pepper spray that will dye the person's face. I also keep my old-timey little Louisville Slugger next to me. I'm ready to fight to the death if need be. I carry pepper spray, a taser, and a utility knife in my purse. I bought dark curtains and privacy film for my windows. I have run through every what can become a weapon barricade in my home scenario I could think of. This is slightly off topic, but I keep a group of acquaintances who, like myself, watch too much true crime. Earlier this week, after only an hour of being late to work without a heads up, which is out of character for me, all 3 of my coworkers were texting and then calling when I hadn't arrived or answered them. It was super reassuring, as earlier that morning I had fallen and hit my head, and after icing, Googling, and planning on calling in at a reasonable hour to take it easy, I slept through my alarms. I am pretty sure if I hadn't answered the phone, one of them would have been knocking on my door by noon, and if I didn't answer the door, the police would have been kicking it in by 12:05. I got to know my neighbors, researched my neighborhood, and do not hide a key. I have trusted people with my key who help me out if I lock myself out or need someone to watch the kitties when I need the favor. My neighbors are great. We help each other out with yard work, keep pests away, and keep an eye on the kids. My one neighbor is like the community grandpa. Yesterday, we had an incident where a man who seemed confused about where he was got into a neighbor's car. The neighbor made sure he wasn't going anywhere and called 911 once he realized this guy wasn't a threat. Get to know your neighbors, ladies. It will be awkward and stressful, but it's better to know who they are than to isolate and be caught off guard. I don't live alone anymore, but I am extremely paranoid about being murdered. The things that help me the most are Ring cameras and motion detectors on every entrance, which loudly beep on my phone if triggered. I love them because if I wake up to a weird noise, I automatically think I'm about to be killed, and I used to not be able to sleep the rest of the night, but now I just check the cameras and see that I'm safe and go back to sleep. I also have a bat with a sock, and some heavy things to throw from my bed if need be. My backup plan is to crawl on the ground and wait by my bedroom door until the intruder comes in, and then cut their Achilles tendons with scissors, so I keep a pair in my bedside drawer. It's an absolutely insane plan, but it's better than dying from doing nothing. I live in a safe neighborhood. I have a video doorbell. I know my neighbors and have their cell phone numbers. I'm a homebody who doesn't really socialize, but we check in with each other every now and then or say hi when outside. I have 2 dogs. Do I trust them to be guard dogs? No, but they do bark when people come to the door, so I'd be alerted. I have a camera with video and audio in my living room for the dogs, which can double as a security camera since it faces the exterior doors. In addition to smoke detectors, I have fire extinguishers, fire blankets, and escape ladders on each floor. I'm not really concerned about fire, but those are my, you never know, items. No longer live alone, but I had fairly close contact with my neighbors in a small apartment building, so shared a wall with one and also was close with my neighbor directly downstairs, and the walls were also not that thick. I felt very lucky that I lived alone, which I preferred, but didn't feel totally alone, and that helped a lot. One night another guy in the building was attacked by his girlfriend. He yelled into the hall to call 911. 6 different people did, one from every single apartment in earshot. Everything ended up okay, and he broke up with her, and she stayed away. Anyway, get to know some of your neighbors if you can. It's practical, but it's also psychologically soothing. If someone wants in, it's shockingly easy to make that happen. I personally always had my 9mm in my nightstand. Remove the short screws from the hardware on your door and replace them with extra long ones. It buys time if someone is kicking it in. Have a couple of action plans. If you can, get a home security system with cameras, window sensors for both open windows and shattered windows. Most people won't bother opening the window, they will just break it. Remember, if they're coming in at night, they don't want your things. Don't stress too much, it's not likely to happen. However, peace of mind is never a bad thing. I have 2 dogs as my main deterrent. My big boy is a husky mix and sounds nice and big, and my girl is half his size, a German Shepherd mix, and from a distance looks like a full-size black shepherd and sounds mean as hell. They don't let anyone get near my house without raising a racket. If someone were to actually get past them and make it to my bedroom at night, for example, I keep a hunting knife wedged next to my mattress and bed frame. Then, attached to the outside of my nightstand, I have a biometric safe with my handgun in it as a last resort. Actually, I also have a revolver locked away in my closet, I suppose, as a more last resort. I also take my old phones that are no longer activated and keep them charged and have them in a few random places in case I need to call 911 and can't get to my phone. I keep one in my bedroom and one in the upstairs bathroom. I'm slightly paranoid, as someone once called me. I prefer to say I'm not an easy victim. Then, of course, the basics. locking all downstairs windows, and I keep my doors locked mostly at all times. I live on the ground floor in a one-room apartment in a small town in Germany, with all my windows facing the garden side. It isn't a dangerous area at all, but living alone in an easily accessible room, which can be looked into from outside through the cracks of the pleated blinds, makes me scared sometimes. People can tell if I'm here and or awake because you can see if any light is turned on from outside. I have 2 security cameras, one outside on the terrace which records and sends every detected movement to my phone and which distinguishes between objects, humans, and animals, and I have yet to see a human there, luckily, and one inside my room in the corner that overlooks most of the room. That one I only turn on when I'm out of the house. The camera outside is hidden, if you don't know about it, but once you appear in front of it, it will turn the light on, and you'll see it. I am hoping it would scare people away even if they destroyed it still. It's not a problem because the videos are saved directly on my phone anyways. Other than that, I double lock my apartment door and the door between the living space and the tiny entranceway. I don't think anyone could enter via that way though, and I realize that this is a potential risk if someone entered via the windows as it would block my escape route. I also never sleep with my windows open, even though I'd love to. Since I don't have proper German blackout blinds which could conceal the open window, I am too scared to have it open at night. I am considering installing an alarm system to my windows which would sound an alarm and inform me about any intruders, but I'm not sure yet. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on the best Reddit stories.